helping you navigate the rocky path of fulfilling employment. Here's our career Sherpa, Julie Bauke.
So we're in the new year right now. It's the first Julie Bauke Career Sherpa segment of 2019. And I hope to God you're still not writing 2018 on your checks, Julie. My God,
that
it's
is
been
incorrect
9
because you know what? That must be the impression I leave on you because we did one last week and you must not remember. It must have been a bad segment, as you tell me sometimes.
I guess you're right. We did do one last week. That's true.
But last week did feel like a holiday. So let's call this the first worky week.
At this stage of my life, Julie, it all runs together. Days, weekends, nights, mornings. It's all the same. It's one long, continual
slog.
show. Yes, a slog along to a certain death. That's what we're guaranteed in life, a certain death. The march like ants off the edge of the cliff.
Wow. Let's be Mr. and Miss Sunshine today.
Let's do this. The economy's humming along despite what you believe, despite people like Elizabeth Warren saying that the economy's broken, things are horrible, it's bad. We have record levels of employment for minorities. We have growth in this country that we haven't seen in a long time. We've had growth in this country that's been sustained for a long time, periods of like we haven't seen. The economy, by all intents and measures, is good. Wages are increasing and rising. However, not in all places, certainly. And as they say, much more work can be done. But the things look really good. Julie, if you can't get a raise in 2019, I question your sanity. I question your wherewithal. More importantly, I question the company you work for.
If you're doing a good job and contributing. If you're just
It doesn't even matter. If you're mediocre, you should be getting a raise. They can't keep and find people. You could literally be a garden slug, Julie, and get a raise, right?
That it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it was like worker retention. The people leaving jobs voluntarily between 2012 and 2017. The number of people leaving jobs voluntarily has risen like crazy. It's risen like 50%. And so, people are coming out of this and going, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you've got, so it's always been kind of common wisdom that to get a decent raise, you have to change companies. Otherwise, you're stuck in that, 3 to 5%, if you're lucky, annual increase. And so the common wisdom for years and years and years, as long as I've been in the workforce, has been, to really get a raise, you need to change companies.
Right.
Well, what happens is, you may be sitting at your company humming along doing a great job, and somebody else is hired from the outside who has similar level of experience you do or less, and they have just gotten that change company bump, and they're probably going to come in on top of you.
Yep.
Where they make more than you do. So that can put you in a situation where you look around and say, wait a minute, I've been a faithful soldier here, and I've got my 3 to 5% every year, if that, and now I'm looking around going, do I jump ship and go someplace else, or do I try to fix it where I am? And if you, in general, like what you do and like who you do it with and who you do it for, and you're, except for you feel like, wow, I feel like I'm underpaid for legitimate reasons, not just because, it makes sense for you before you would go do a search elsewhere to try to fix your problem where you are.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I'm with you so far. I got
It's like a marriage, right?
Right. You got to fix it. You got to repair it from within. Can you do that?
Right. Yeah. But
Really?
You've got to do it not from emotion. And this is where people get really frustrated. I think this is where people screw it up. Hey, I just heard that, Bob just got hired over there. I mean, he told somebody that he was making X, and I looked at his LinkedIn profile, and he's got less experience than I do, and he's making 20% more than I am. You better fix this or I'm out of here. Anything that smacks of that is a sure no. It's like anytime you come in, raring for a fight, you're not going to get what you want. So, first of all, you don't know how accurate your information is about Bob or anybody else. And so you have to take care of your own house first and look at it and say, okay, so there's a few things you want to look at is, sometimes your boss's hands may be tied and she may not be able to give you a raise right then. And so going in and saying, this is what I'm seeing in the market.
Right.
here are so in other words, you have to have market data, and you can find that easily if you go out and just do some research. Maybe you're even getting contacted by other companies. I know people who are getting contacted left and right by other companies who are trying to hire them. That's a great opportunity to say, what's the pay range for the position? And find out what's going on out there.
Right.
Talk to people you know who do similar things, who are willing to give you a feel for what their company pays for that. So you want to gather, and even though it's kind of anecdotal, it's hard to find completely accurate information, it's a good way to at least arm yourself with some information. Then the other part of that is, what has your contribution been? Why is the company better off today than it was January 9th, 2018? What have you really done? Saved money, delivered a project on time, made a customer happy, implemented a new process procedure. What did you do? And so you need to be armed with that information. And then it can be as simple as not walking in and pounding your fist, but saying, look, here's what I've discovered.
Right.
Here's where I think I fall in terms of my contribution here. It seems like based on the feedback I've gotten and my reviews that I'm a valued member of this team and that you are interested in retaining me, but here's what I've found. How can we work together to solve this problem? And so it might be a 3-month, a 6-month, a 12-month plan to help get you up to where you should be. That is much more palatable because remember, unless you report to the company owner or the top dog, whoever you report to that you're having this conversation with, they have to go sell this to somebody else up the chain.
Right.
And so you want to give them the ammunition to do that beyond, if you don't do this, I'm going to quit. Because that just doesn't go well for anybody. I mean,
No, it doesn't.
Who reacts well when threatened?
Well, here's the other thing. Let's say you do all this stuff, and maybe you work in a business that's poorly managed, or it's an industry that's in decline, something like. Because we have expansion, we have contraction. It happens. That's the nature of the business cycle. Some businesses and sectors increase and are poised for growth. Others are in stagnation or decline. That's the nature of it.
Yep.
If you're in a situation like that, and it's different. It's like, listen, we can't afford to give you any more. There's no more money. There's no more raise yet again this year. And as I said, if you can't afford to give your employees a raise in 2019, when the hell is it ever going to happen? At that point, and you look at it, and you're told, no, sorry, can't do it. We're not doing it for anybody, and we're not going to do it for you. What are your options? How do you handle an abject no?
Well, if that is, and so I would try to figure out, is it because, have you been getting other signals that your performance is not what it needs to be? So have you been on a performance plan? Have you been left out of meetings? It could be one of several things. So you have to figure out what it is. It's either that your performance or how the company views you as a part of their future has diminished. In that case, you absolutely have to go elsewhere. You have to find, something else to do, either in the organization to add more value, or it may be time to leave. Mm-hmm. Or is it that, as you said, maybe you're in an industry that is not in growth mode, that's stagnating, that is being is on the decline, depending on what business you're in, there's not as much demand for what you do.
I work in a major typewriter business. I work in the I repair typewriters. I'm going to field that services typewriters, and they're telling me there's no more money. Julie, what the hell's wrong here?
Yeah, and if that's the case, you got to put your head up, or take your head out of that dark place, and say, "This either I have to figure out what's next." Mm-hmm. And take action and go find or I'm going to be laid off. I'm not going to have a choice. And so right now, in this situation, you have a choice. But if you're looking around and, golly, it doesn't appear anybody's buying typewriters,
right,
that's a problem. Or you consistently, let's say you're in a consulting firm and you're consistently losing gigs and losing customers, that's a problem.
Right.
So we live in this bubble sometimes that says, well, we'll ride it out, or they can't live without me, or, we tell ourselves all kinds of lies about, the security of where we are. And the security really lies within ourselves and our ability to find that next thing. And that's where we have to operate from. Look around. Maybe you're in a place where it's not a great fit for you. And you have, I can't tell you how many conversations I had. I've had over the years with people who've been laid off. Okay, so choice taken out of their hands, laid off. And they will say at some point, well, they did me a favor. I wasn't really happy anyway.
Right.
And I always say, do you think that was a secret? Right? I mean, if you're like half showing up and, kind of watching the clock and doing kind of the minimum to get by, it's not a secret. And so, of course, when it comes to layoff, you're going to be first on the list. And so how are you showing up at work? That's a huge part of whether you're going to get a raise.
Julie Bauke, our Career Sherpa on the Scott Sloan Show this morning, 700 WLW, as we do each and every Wednesday morning at this time, talking about getting the raise in 2019. And, it should happen. If your company's growing, poised for growth, as a lot of companies are now in this great economy, you got to get in there and ask for that raise because, how many companies are just handing out raises these days without you asking? Is that something that's happening?
Well, smart ones are. Smart ones are looking at the people, but here's what they're.
Well, if they're all smart, Julie, we wouldn't be doing this segment now, would we?
Exactly. That's what I mean. The smart ones, and let's maybe we're being generous by saying there's more than a handful. But the wise ones are looking at, but what they're not doing is doing big raises across the board.
Right. Because
you have a budget in which to give raises, and you're going to look at who do we care the most about keeping. And if you're sort of in that, maybe we do, if they stay, great. If they go, we'll live. Or, gee, I hope they go. If you're in either one of those two groups, it almost doesn't matter how you go in and make your case. And so if you know that, if they're saying things to you like, oh, my gosh, Fred, I don't know what we'd do without you. Mm-hmm. I hope you never leave, Fred. Man, you're so valuable. Our customers love you. You have to look at what signals you're getting. And if you're getting those kind of signals, it's definitely time to go in and have that conversation. Because I know that really good people are getting contacted constantly off of LinkedIn from recruiters and other companies. Mm-hmm. And everybody is in play. Everybody on LinkedIn is in play. Think about that. If you're an employer, if you've got a team that you value, don't assume that they're not going anywhere because if you value them, so would somebody else.
Right.
And LinkedIn is almost like it's almost like I'm in play. If you're on LinkedIn, which you should be, we should all be on LinkedIn. Back in the day, you had to send your resume out. You had to take action to become in play. With LinkedIn, you're in play at all times.
They come looking for you.
Yep.
And it's hard to believe because there's so many people on LinkedIn. I was talking to somebody, and they said, I got more of a, from Facebook and Twitter and all that, I got more of a reaction, I forget what it was, from their LinkedIn account than they did anything else. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, LinkedIn's like a mini resume. Think about it. It's like professional social media. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people's LinkedIn profiles are bad. So you have to think about it like if you're in a job search or you want to be found, you have to look at it. First of all, who do you want to find you? Right. What would the person be looking for who's looking for you? What keywords might they put in to find you? There's also a way to make yourself more visible to recruiters on LinkedIn so that you can be found easier. But if you sort of just slapdash it together and it's like, here's who I am, here's my job titles, here's my company, right, you're really hurting yourself. It really needs to be a robust profile. And, if you're afraid to do that or don't want to do that, I think you're missing out on the passive job market.
Well, the other thing too is a lot of people, when there's written language and communication, and then there's looking for a job communication, which you're an expert at. But most of us don't talk in those two. You can take what it is someone does, Julie Bauke, and word it to make it sound like, wow, they really have an important job right there. Because most of us don't have the wherewithal, the skills, or the language set to be able to structure something like that. You know what I'm talking about? You read some of these job descriptions and what it is you accomplish. It's a crock of crap, but it sounds like it's a really good crock of crap, though.
Well, it's not necessarily always a crock of crap, but there's all kinds of.
If you're to describe what I do for a living, give me what would my resume say?
Oh,
go ahead.
You delight the masses.
How does that translate to a job?
Well, don't other people want their masses delighted? But so you want a headline, right? I mean, you want
sounds like that substitute teacher in Fairfield. Anyway, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Yes. What is up? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's. Well, anyway.
Never mind.
Hello.
What? Never mind. Yeah.
This on? Check.
We don't want to get censored. Yeah.
1, 2.
Yeah. No. I mean, the first thing about doing a LinkedIn profile or a resume is who are you professionally? What do you do? You know what? Well, so if your headline on LinkedIn is brand manager at Procter & Gamble, that's a problem. You should not. On your headline, you should not have your company name. You know, it should be who am I, separate from who pays me to do what I do.
Your brand. Yes, you should be the brand.
Exactly.
You're selling you.
Yeah, I mean, what do people know you for? What do you when people hire you, what are they getting? What will you do really, really well? And you always want people to hire you for what you're going to do really, really, really well, not the stuff, you're mediocre at.
Yeah. Right. And you got to take some time and sit down and do that. And then hopefully
it's hard.
But again, asking for a raise, much easier said than done, even when the economy's hung along. And typically, what are we seeing these days? Are we seeing that's 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%? What are we talking?
We're seeing closer to 5%.
Really?
As sort of an annual.
Damn, I got to change. I got to change companies.
No. Okay. Well, I know somebody who can help you.
Right. Exactly. 5% now. That's good. So 5%.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing more of that. But believe me, there are organizations and leaders who are trying to manage their budget. Mm-hmm. And there is something to be said for the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You just have to manage how you squeak.
And I'll leave it at that. That's a great statement right there. Julie Bauke, our career Sherpa, thebaukegroup.com. And, of course, you do your monthly seminars, too.
We do. CareerAccelerated.com.
CareerAccelerated.com. Help you get in tune and get more money in 2019. That's what it's all about. Julie, we'll talk again next Wednesday. Thanks again for the time. Have a delicious week. There you go.
You too.
There you go.